Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hi, I'm Joanie Winberg, certified human behavior consultant, known as the communicator guru, and also founder of GettingAlongSolutions.com. I'm always thrilled to do this show together with my co-host, Rosalind Sedacca. Hello, Roz.
Hi, Joanie. I'm Rosalind Sedacca. I'm recognized as the voice of child-centered divorce, co-host of the Divorce View Talk Show, and author of How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce, and founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network. And we're going to be talking today about holiday issues. If you're facing divorce, going through divorce, or even if it's been a few years since you've had your divorce, the holidays are always more challenging and trying for families that are dealing with divorce when you have kids. And so we thought we'd provide some advice for you as a parent and also for you as a human being to help you move through the process and make the holidays as positive and successful as possible.
Absolutely.
Joanie, why don't you start us off and we'll...
Okay, definitely. So I would even recommend, if you have a second, go get a pen and paper, and so you can take some notes here. We're actually going to be talking about 10 things to do and not to do during the holidays after divorce. And as Roz said, you know, we're there to support you. Also, Roz and I have been there. We've done that. So we understand the emotions, and sometimes the first couple of years how difficult it is when you might not be doing the same things that you've done for maybe 20 years, and your children are now off in a different place and maybe not with you. So we're here to support you, and as Ross said, to make this as positive as possible. So if you got your pen and paper, we're going to first talk about 5 things to do during the holidays after divorce. And the first one is give yourself the gift of you. Ross, would you like to share some thoughts on that?
Well, it's so important at a time of year when we're so focused on doing for others and getting for others and making the holiday perfect, especially for the kids, that we lose track of the importance of self. And if you're not honoring yourself, you may be falling into a depressed state or a highly stressed state, which is not good for your health. And if you don't take care of your kid's mom, then your kids are going to be losing out on the value of having a highly functioning mom or dad. And so it's very important to really take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Take time to decompress, decompose, and just allow yourself to indulge in thinking about yourself and thinking about the future, what you want to do for yourself in life, and do some small things for yourself over the next few weeks that are so busy. You'll appreciate it, and your kids will as well.
And I always think to be aware if you're in the red zone. And you're so right, Roz. We get so busy, caught up doing all the things, and we don't even realize we're in the red zone. And so the red zone is exactly that. You know, we're either overwhelmed, stressed out. I even try to have women and men too to literally set aside 10 minutes a day. That's for you, just for you. Doesn't have to be a big ordeal. It could be as simple as sitting down with a cup of tea. But if you can do that and be conscious that, okay, I'm taking this 10 minutes for me, deep breath, and just relax and recharge. So that's so important. So that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is to learn to let go. I don't know about you, Ross, but I've always been this person with the things I need to do, all the decorating and, you know, all the steps and traditions, and, you know, and I remember facing the first Christmas when it was just myself and my kids, and I was exhausted looking at the list, and it didn't even have to be down on paper. It was in my head because I had been doing it for so long, and I was exhausted thinking of that. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw it out. And I'm just going to start doing some fun things with the kids, and just different activities and maybe new friends. And it really took the pressure off of me trying to keep up. And I remember not even completely decorating as much as I did. It still looked nice and festive, But I didn't say, oh my God, I've got 2 more boxes that I have to decorate. And I thought, forget it. I'm going to relax.
Letting go is the key word, because if things don't have to be exactly the way they were, and this is a good transition time to make some changes. And one of them can be not sending out the cards the way you used to, not decorating the way you used to, not attending certain events or going to certain places or inviting certain people to dinner the way you used to, and allow yourself to just feel what you're feeling and honor what's best for your family at this moment in time.
And I know guilt does creep in there, but you know, I just had to get over that, and for anyone, just to get over it and say, hey, you know what? It still is the same idea of taking care of you. You've got to let go.
We'll be talking more about guilt, I'm sure, in this list.
Definitely. No, it kind of leads into number 3, which we talk about starting new traditions. What really healed and helped me a lot, and maybe it helped with the kids more than I realized, is that with starting new traditions, because they weren't the same anymore, we started to do things that we were giving back to the community. We actually focused on local charities, different things that we could help, maybe at the Children's Hospital. I know they have a lot of coat drives or toy drives, that type of thing. So we focused on that. So we started to heal, as I said, because we felt good about what we were doing. So that helped a lot, and then in hand it started some new traditions.
I love that. It's very important to start new traditions. I think one of the most painful parts of divorce for a family is memories. Looking back, and previous years things were like this, and you could go back as long as your kids are around, and even before that, and think about traditions and the way things were done. So if you make a decision to make shifts and make changes in things, it'll start new memories, and rather than comparing with the past, it's just a new way of doing things. So I really suggest getting creative. If you always opened the presents at this time and decorated the tree at that time and visited certain people on this date, change it around, shift it around, eat a meal out somewhere different, invite friends or neighbors that you usually haven't socialized with, go visit someone and get out of town entirely. Do something that you've never done before, a cruise or a totally different kinds of experience, or get involved in an activity that wasn't part of your normal tradition, going to a museum or a zoo, or places that seemed like fun but you never got around to it because they weren't part of the package that you were used to. So break the rules and the boundaries.
Break the rules. I like that.
Yeah, and brainstorm with your kids about that so that they're playing a part in it. Doing this on Christmas Eve and doing that on Christmas Day, and turning things around, and giving the kids different places of honor to do certain traditions. Whatever you can shift and twist will enable you to start new memories. So next year you'll be remembering back to those new shifts and changes. And if you can, and your ex, your former, is part of your family life, then bring them on board to share the special holidays with you, so that the reminder for the kids is that you're still a family despite divorce. If that isn't part of the picture, then allow the kids to have as much time with their other parent as possible, so that you're sharing the kids. And I'd like to talk a little later about ways to spend alone time when the kids aren't there, because that's a totally new experience for so many people after divorce, and that's important too.
Absolutely, because in fact I was going to say the traditions are new with the kids, but also it's important, just like you're talking about, maybe this is a good time to have new traditions for yourself, because it is hard if you're used to having the kids. And I remember the first time their dad came to pick them up, and they went off for that morning or afternoon, I can't remember, and all of a sudden I had part of the day and I had to think of new traditions. So I connected relatives that I hadn't connected with before, and or friends. Maybe had dinner with different people, and I had to really start new traditions for
Yeah.
myself so that I wasn't going to be home alone. And people were very helpful with this to say, hey, you know what are you doing? What are the kids doing? So if the kids are out, do you want to come for dinner? And it was great because it got me into new traditions.
Yes, that's so important. And also, there are some divorced parents who are losing the children for a week
Yes.
or longer intervals. And so, some of the suggestions I have is creating ways of staying connected to your kids, such as having a theme for each day, and then focusing on going to a movie perhaps on the same day as the kids, and then at night using Skype or FaceTime or anything on the computer so that you could talk and make a call and discuss the movie that day. Or if you have a theme of the day, the best ice cream flavor, the best Coke chocolate drink for the day, the best sledding tip for the day, whatever the activity is, get together and talk about it every few days so that the kids feel that you're still part of their lives and you're still in their lives, and keeping that connection going. There's a lot of things you can do, especially with today's technology, that doesn't make it seem like they're really out of your life when you're sharing tips and ideas, and you could both be reading the same books and then talking about it. So keep that connection going in as many ways as possible, and that'll help you. And then, as Joanie said, really reach out to friends and family for them to support you and do things you never would have been able to do, and enjoy the fact that you're doing adult things, and that can be a lot of fun.
Those are great ideas. I never thought of like going to the same movie and then sharing what they saw and what you enjoyed. That's excellent. That's really good.
Thanks.
Keeping track. I like that. So that was, let me see. So the first one we said, give yourself the gift of you. Number 2, learn to let go. Number 3, start new traditions. Number 4 is to focus on the positive. And what really supported me was that I started to focus on what was working and what I was grateful for. And then I worked this with the kids. So we all put a list on the refrigerator of what they were grateful for. And you could do it maybe, every day or the week before Christmas, or the holidays, whatever. But we did it as a team, and it really, once again, was healing because we weren't focused on the changes or the whole hum or, whatever.
Pity party.
Oh, yeah. So, we would.
Party.
Yeah, definitely. So that really worked for us, was to put that gratitude list on the refrigerator, and everyone had one. My kids were old enough to do that at the time.
I love that. It's so important for kids to learn the value of gratitude. If they don't see it modeled at home, it's harder for them to get that. So we really, as parents, need to do that. But kids who are grateful are not spoiled, don't whine as much, are appreciative of what they get, and have a bigger perspective on life. We are very fortunate to be living in the world that we're living in the nation we're living in, and having the experiences we have. There's a lot of pain and suffering in the world, and I think it's important for us to give children a perspective to appreciate, because there's always someone who has more. And if you focus in that direction, you're going to be unhappy and depressed. But if you focus on all the blessings in your life and be grateful for what you have, then you really get into the holiday spirit, and you're giving your kids the best skills for being successful in life.
Mm. And I always try to flip the coin to say, okay, this isn't really working right now, but there's got to be a silver lining somewhere. And that really changed my mindset over the years, really helped. Maybe it was also being a little selfish at that point, but those skills were really created to help me heal and be the best mom I could be during this tough time. But then in hand, it also was being a good role model for the kids. So it worked both ways, but I know I was doing this to keep myself together. So I guess in that case, it's all right to be selfish in that way.
Absolutely. No, that worked out well for you.
The fifth one is to be kind to yourself, similar to giving yourself the gift of you, but this is, once again, we talked about we're always doing something for ourselves, for others, shopping and so forth. But during the holidays, don't feel guilty or don't think, oh no. If you see something that you like for yourself, doesn't have to be a big deal or a large expense, but something little that, wow, I think I'll get this for me. And so when we're doing something to be kind to yourself, it could be, going shopping, buying something for you, and not include something for the kids or something for the house. Literally something for you, a little gift for you. So that's what that means.
And I also think of being kind to yourself is internally thinking kind things about yourself. Our biggest enemies are us and the negative thoughts that we have, the self-abuse that so many of us have about you should have done this, you could have done that, why did you say that, the insecurities and fears and anxieties that come out, and the guilt and the shame about the divorce. And so our minds are constantly telling ourselves negative stories, and we're whipping ourselves mentally and emotionally, and it's very stressful. So by stopping that and being kind to ourselves, acknowledge when you do something good as a parent, acknowledge when you look in the mirror and you say, gee, I like the way my hair looks today, or that's a pretty sweater. Whatever is going on, be kind to yourself. Treat yourself the way you would treat your children, and not as an enemy. And life will be a lot better for you and the entire family. So that be kind is two-pronged, and I love that. It's such an important point.
And if you do see something as far as a sweater, treat yourself to something. Get yourself a little gift and say, this is a Christmas present, or this is a gift for me. Happy holidays to me. So don't be afraid to do something nice like that. So we covered all the things to do, and once again, I'll repeat them. So if you're taking notes, give yourself the gift of you, number 1. Number 2, learn to let go. Number 3, start new traditions. Number 4, focus on the positive. And number 5, be kind to yourself. So now we're going to talk about the 5 things not to do. And the first one is don't let your mind work overtime. And Roz, you hit this square, perfect, hit the nail on the head with that mind working overtime of what ifs and only ifs. And that little voice, that little negative voice, can really work or do so much harm and change your whole mindset. And we probably don't even realize how much it's affecting us and also affecting our kids or people around us. Anything else you want to add to that, Ross?
It's that critical thinking, that inner critical voice that's always there. And it takes awareness, conscious awareness, to stop it. But that's the greatest gift you could give yourself, is being aware of and then refuting, stopping, not paying attention to, or changing the subject so your mind isn't going to that place. If you could consciously stop that negative chatter and put in place feelings of gratitude, you're just calmer, more peaceful, and happier. And when you're happier, it reflects on the kids, and life is smoother at home. So be aware of the negativity that's infecting you, and it could be from fears and anxieties that are stresses that are real, especially this time of year, financial stresses about the relationship, and there's a multitude of reasons why we can be filled with all of that negativity, but we have the ability to stop it and control it through being aware and saying, I don't choose that right now, and getting into a better headspace. And that really is a gift to us.
And I like the way you said, just tell yourself. I remember saying to myself, if that little voice was coming in and started to affect my mindset, I used to just say, shut up and go sit down in the corner, leave me alone type thing,
Yeah.
But the other thing is too, I've talked with other women, people, and also my clients. They would actually do something. So if they were walking by a stranger, they might, or a homeless person or something, they would actually smile, or anybody, they would smile, or they would say thank you to somebody for doing something. The other one, I remember doing this a lot. I used to just hug my kids a lot. You know, it was just that energy. They were feeling it. I was feeling it.
Yeah.
It was helping me feel great if I was having a little bit downtime inside and the mind was starting to feel sad, or my thoughts. You know, I would just hug those kids and, you know, smile at people. I mean, it's hard to feel that low energy, I call it, if you're smiling and someone's smiling back at you.
Yes.
You know, so those actual things that you can think to do if you're walking by people or whatever.
Yes.
So that's number one. Number two is don't isolate yourself.
Wow.
This is pretty important.
It's very important to stay in a socially supportive environment. You want to be with family and friends who are supportive and encouraging you. If you happen to have family and friends who are not supporting you through and beyond the divorce, those aren't the people to be with.
No, stay away from them.
But try new experiences. Don't isolate yourself. There are groups and clubs and meetup groups and lots of social activities that you could access online that are local to your community, and you can find things that are happening, plays to attend where you're with the groups. You're not feeling alone and isolated. Groups that go to movies together, that go to dances together, all kinds of clubs and organizations for whatever your interest is, or if you want to take French lessons or tap dance lessons or tennis lessons, whatever it is, there are places and resources, and this is a good time to start thinking of what honors you and supports you as you're moving ahead, and especially for the new year. Start thinking ahead to January and February, and how do you want to be in this new year, and what do you want life to bring you? We have to be proactive. We can't just sit and wait for things to happen. So the first step is not isolating yourself, but choosing carefully the environment you're in. Don't just by habit and rote go back into the same old environments that haven't been supportive for you, because you're going to get the same negative results, and you don't want that.
I actually have a client who has got back into swing dancing. She said she was a nervous wreck the first time going, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm by myself. But then she met other people, and now she goes every week, loves it, looks forward to it. Something that I did, and it was simple. I just called some friends and had a potluck dinner at the house. So it helped me get back into the decorating. I felt good about having people in during the holidays. I said, you know what, invite friends. So we had a whole new group of people. It was like almost having a networking event, because some of the people I didn't know, but I was meeting new people. Everyone brought something. It was a wonderful time, and some of them were so it was inexpensive, you know, where most people were watching their finances. So this way here, everyone brought their favorite holiday dish, or some maybe just a bottle of wine or something, and we had a potluck dinner, and it was a blast. So that worked out well.
No, absolutely.
Number 3 is don't beat yourself up. We've been talking about this similar to as far as, you know, that mind working overtime and just beating ourselves. Go ahead.
There's also regrets. Don't beat yourself up with regrets. If only I had done it differently. If only I knew this. There's nothing supportive about reliving the past unless you could take away lessons that I call gifts. If you're reliving the past only to beat yourself up, it's unproductive and it's harmful. So if you do think about the past, find the gift that you could say, I'll never do that again. I've learned this lesson. I'm a bigger, stronger, greater person as a result of that. And that at least takes you forward. Otherwise, don't go there. There's nothing of value to go there and beating yourself up about. Life is too short, and you deserve more and better. And if you can't be your own champion, if you can't be your own friend, who's going to be?
You're so right, so right.
And you have to role model that for your kids. because if they don't see you doing it right, then they're going to fall into those same behaviors, and you don't want that.
Mm-mm. I was going to say, if you find yourself falling into that pit, so to speak, grab a piece of paper, and I've done this with clients, and it's hard. In fact, I say, especially to the women, I want you to write down 10 things that you love about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one client said, 10? I said, yes, 10. Well, I could think of maybe 2 or 3. I said, no, I want you to really think, if you have to stand in front of a mirror, what part do you love about yourself, your eyes, go wherever. But think of 10 things that you love about yourself, write them down, and make copies of that. Put one in your purse, one in your office, on your desk, and one by your computer, and one in your car. So if your mind starts to think about all the things you don't like about yourself and you start to beat yourself up, take that list out and read it. And reinforce in your head that these are the great things about yourself, how unique you are, how special you are. So sometimes
And
we need to
work
see.
on believing it.
Yes, absolutely. And if you read it enough and you see it in black and white, you do start to believe in that. So sometimes people need to see that in black and white. So we've talked about the things not to do. We talked about don't let your mind work overtime. Don't isolate yourself. Don't beat yourself up. And similar to what we've been talking about a little bit, number 4 is don't let bitterness take over. I really worked hard on this with the kids, and I encourage it with my own clients, is to build a dream collage. Have some fun with this so you can start to see, once again, you're taking your attention away from the bitterness that maybe you're feeling, and you're allowing yourself to dream of what you'd like to be doing. Once again, you can get your kids involved in this, get a pile of magazines, a glue stick, piece of cardstock, have them start to cut out things that they want to do and help them to dream as well. Or you could even do it online. They have vision boards online now. But once again, it's trying to get your kids involved, and it helps you heal because you start to see in front of you, wow, that really is where I want to be. This is where I'd like to take my life now down the line. And so once again, it's a visual.
That's a great idea. And no one likes a bitter person. So if you're reflecting bitterness, you may not be aware of it, but you're going to repel people from getting too close to you because no one wants to be around a bitter person. I think about the Scrooge. It's not a personality trait that anyone likes. And I remember on occasion when I was single after my divorce, dating a couple of bitter men. And there's a tone, there's a way they speak about their past and their ex and the experiences in their lives, and you just don't want to be around it. So don't be that person.
It's heavy. It feels heavy.
Yes, become aware that you're carrying the bitterness, that you're going back there, and then there are traits you could work with one of us as coaches, but there are ways, skills to move ahead and release the bitterness so that you could start really enjoying life, and then you want to attract in the future a healthy partner in a good state of mind, and bitterness is not a good equation for any relationship.
Not at all. In fact, you could, if you're paying attention, you might watch what kind of people you're attracting, or if you're seeing people avoid you. That's another sign. So the people don't call anymore, or when I see them, they're busy, or so maybe watch for a common theme that's going on here, and then at that point you might want to you might want to look in the mirror, even though that's hard to do, to say, I'm starting to think it's me here. So that's number 4.
It's not good for your kids to have a bitter parent. That's poison for them.
And they pick that up, and they start to think that that's the norm.
Right.
So number 5 is don't ignore your intuition.
Love that.
So anything you want to start us off on there?
Well, we all have an inner voice, inner gut that if we start trusting more, we would make better decisions. I love Oprah she always used to say that things would start with a tiny little whisper, and if I didn't listen to that, then it would get a little louder, and next time I did it a little louder, and then finally it would bang you over the head, and you had a major life catastrophe happening.
Yes.
We need to really learn to hear and then trust that inner voice and acknowledge when we're feeling in our guts, this person may not be right, this situation isn't right, something doesn't feel good about what I'm doing here. Stop and heed, meditate, question, and then change course. So that's a very important point.
It's so much, and then it also helps you make better decisions when you're listening. You know, there's so many times that I think I was getting signals, and I probably really didn't listen to about the third time. And I remember thinking, wow, the universe must be saying, boy, this lady, we really got to start shouting louder because she's not listening and hearing us, you know. So.
And if we look back, I'm sure we would all be able to find instances when we knew. Sometimes you knew on a date with someone and they weren't really right, but you pushed that aside and continued. There were, if we look back, we've had warnings. There were red flags all along the path. So what we're saying now is become more consciously aware for the future, because the past is the past. We don't want to go there. We don't want to live there. But we want to learn from the past so that we could make better decisions, better behaviors and actions in the future. And boy, this is such a wonderful time of year, the end of December, in starting a brand new year, for us to be embracing all of those that wonderful list of do's and don'ts, so that we can not only have a better holiday season, but just a better 2015 ahead.
Absolutely.
And that is really a blessing for us all. To any shift you can make to start the year with some different way of handling things is going to really make your life incrementally better.
And to me, it starts to really work in the positive way, because when you do those new traditions, or you're doing some of the fun things with your kids and you're starting to change your mindset, you'll feel the momentum go or start, and then next year you'll be excited to continue those traditions, and all of a sudden the past seems so far away, which is okay, and you've started new things. Then, you know, I don't know about you, Roz, but I found that I started to remember the good things, because I was in such a positive frame of mind. So I would take out the ornaments that I knew meant a lot to the kids, and I'd make sure that those were up. And so we were starting to focus on the new things that we loved, and new memories, but it was safe to now go back and pull the positive ones out of that. And so we have laughs about it all the time, of the funny things that we used to do, you know, when they were little. And so let me repeat the 5 things not to do again. Don't let your mind work overtime. Don't isolate yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't let bitterness take over. And then, of course, don't ignore your intuition. So I think these are pretty good tips for the holiday, Roz.
I think that it's a wonderful list of tips for the holidays and for life. And the more we all integrate that into our lives, the happier we'll all be, and the more successful we'll all be. And most important of all, the more appreciative your kids will be, because they're watching you and they're learning from you every minute of the day, whether they say it or not. And so you want to give them the gift of raising them to be happier and more successful people, and that's the way to do it, through working on yourself.
Well, Roz, I'm just excited for our new year, 2015. I know you and I have a lot of great things planned for the new year through the Divorce View. But also, Roz, I'd like to let people know what you've got going for January. That's so important.
Yes, January. Thank you. January is International Child-Centered Divorce Month. We have an entire month ahead where there's a special website that will be up, and divorce experts around the world will be providing free gifts that you can just click and download. ebooks, audios, videos, coaching services, lots of other things, all about divorce and parenting issues. So if you are anywhere in the spectrum of divorce, before, during, and long after, this is something that will be of great value to you. Of course, Joanie is participating with her wonderful services, and the gifts are fabulous this year. The list is long, and it's all free. So you'll be hearing more about that come the first week in January when we have our show, and we invite you all to take advantage of International Child-Centered Divorce Month.
Absolutely. And so we'll get, like you said, we'll be promoting that more on each show for January, letting you know where to go for your free gifts. In the meantime, to listen to more of these do's and don'ts, or the 10 do's and don'ts after divorce during the holidays, you can go to divorceview.com. You can play this video back as many times as you like. While you're there, there's great information of the services that Roz has to support you, as well as myself to support you. So you're not alone. We're there to support you, and we're happy to do that and be there for when you need it. So Roz, in the meantime, we will be doing some repeat shows and different things for the Christmas, New Year, Christmas Eve, because that would be basically when the show would have been for next week, and then also for New Year's Eve. So we're probably going to play this show especially a couple more times and let people be aware of it. But I wish you a happy holiday season as well, Roz.
Absolutely. Happy, healthy holiday. It's been a joy working with you this year. I'm looking forward to lots of more fun times together.
Absolutely. Thanks. And you too. And also to our listeners, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.